Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Today is the yard site of the Ben Ashri, the Tzaddik Miranana, Yud Gimel Teves. So we decided we're going to do a little bit of an extra shir. We want to thank the Dvar Torah Foundation for sponsoring and making the shir possible, and with the bracha and the hope that they will continue to be marba and mafretz Torah. We spoke already last night and last week about the biography of the Ben Ashri. If you want to learn more, Rabbi Daniel Gladstein has a beautiful shir. He has a personal familial connection to the Tzaddik Miranana, and it's kedai to spend some time to listen to his shir. We also mentioned that the Rosh Hashiva, Siku Shaleski, is one of the things that he took upon himself in order to be Zeicha to have a child. As we know, he was 88 years old. He is 88 years old, and he finally just had a child after his first child after 88 years. He learned that Ben Ashri gave a shir. I think it was a daily shir that he gave to a few people. So that's was being that the Ben Ashri did not have any children, and he wrote in his Sefer that someone who learns and gives over in his name his Dvar Torahs, he'll be in Melitz Yosher with them. So we learned yesterday a few pieces. We're going to learn some nice short pieces. Befrat, they're not too heavy, they're not too deep in Kabbalah, so we'll be able to understand. So we're beginning on page Mem. Here, Moshe Rabbeinu comes in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling Moshe Rabbeinu that I want you to take Klal Yisrael out of Mitzrayim. And Moshe Rabbeinu spoke for Moshe Rabbeinu Lashon Hara. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu made a snake. The pasuk says, Vayonos Moshe Mipanav. Right? Moshe jumped back from the snake. L'chayre tevas Mipanav miyuter. The word fun of is extra. The Ma'anaf Gemina says the Ben Ashri, why he ran away. It doesn't make a difference if Moshe Rabbeinu ran away from the front of the snake or the back of the snake. He ran away. So the Ben Ashri says that Pirush means mipanav, from the inner words of the word nachash. Vayonas mipanav, from the inside. What's the inside of the word nachash? The ches. And the ches is merumez lechet, kamavur barazal, like it says in Shemot Rabbah. Lama nas lefishachata bedvar. Why did Moshe Rabbeinu run away? Hashem was there to protect him. He spoke because he did an avera. As the famous Gemara says with Rabbi Chanina ben Doisa, that there was a snake around him and he stepped on it and he killed it. He said the snake doesn't kill, it's the chet that kills. And therefore, that since Moshe Rabbeinu now had a chet, again, from Moshe Rabbeinu's level, he cannot be protected from the snake. The Ben Ashri says the next piece, Vayones Moshe Mipanav l'chay Timura. Eich Moshe Rabbeinu olav shalom b'yadoi she'omed lefonav yizbarach yorei v'yones minachash gashmi. How could it be that Moshe Rabbeinu, who was standing in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Melech Malchei Amlochim, would run away from a sake that's gashmius? Besides the fact that there's a pachad elikim, standing in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu enters you into a different realm. So why would you run away from a nachash that's physical? The Shloimah, and the Ben Ashri says a very interesting diak, how he is medayik in every word. When it came to Paroi, it doesn't say Vayonas Moshe from Paroi. It says Vayivrach Moshe. He ran. So indirectly, he's bavarning a kasha. He's asking a question, or he's preempting a question. Why over here it says the word Vayonos, and when it came to Paroi, it says Vayivrach. The Kanksi Vayonos. V'yeshloim api divrei Arizal. The Arizal brings in Shar Kavanos the Nachash Shebekan. Hakavon al Samach Mem, that the Nachash here was referring to the Samach Mem. Samach Mem is also a spiritual entity. Vigbiya Moshe Rabbeinu atzmei kol kach l'moken gevoya. When it says Vayonos, says the Ben Ashri, doesn't mean he ran away distance-wise. Rather, he lifted himself up height-wise. Vayonos, from the word nes, from picking us up. Al kinkse Vayonos, loshen nes, havaroma lamala miderech hatevel. Because this was the Samach Mem, Moshe Rabbeinu picked himself high above it. When it came to Paroi, Paroi is a physical being, so he ran away physically from him. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, grab the tail. Since you're so high up in Shemayim, says the Arizal, Tuchal lales nitzoites kedushos. The Moshe says that now, Moshe Rabbeinu, you lifted yourself up to such a high spiritual place, you are able to gather the nitzoitzes that are captured by the Samach Mem. And by doing that, you will help Klal Yisrael leave Mitzrayim sooner and destroy and fulfill the tachlis that we have, Kemavur Bari, Shar Kavonis, Soit Nefilas Apayim, that there discusses different ways to raise Nitzotis Akdusha. The Ben Lashri continues, V'hoyim le'yaminu lach, v'layishmu l'kol ha'is. The Ben Lashri has a beautiful diak in this pasuk. It says the word V'hoya. V'hoya is always a lashon simcha. So it says in the name of the Sifsei Tzadik, from the Rav Mipeltz, Ma simcha is, what simcha is there by showing an ois? On the contrary, it would seem to be that the second that Moshe Rabbeinu said something, they should believe him, that would be the simcha. So the Ben Lashri says, no, a beautiful, beautiful explanation, beautiful chiddush. He says every ois that Moshe Rabbeinu would make would show a greater level of hashgacha pratis, of elokus. Every level of the nisim raises the level of emunah that Klal Yisrael has. So Adarabah, every ois will bring a greater simcha to Klal Yisrael by being less specific. Kol ois hayotzi migeder hateva, any ois that is not teva and is not magic, pkach einehem al hashgachas haborei yizbarach, will open their eyes more to the great hashgacha Kadosh Baruch Hu. Many times that tzaddik does a nes, he does it in order to be mekadosh Shem Shemayim. There's a famous story with the Divrei Chaim, that he once got a letter from a not such a religious doctor for help. And the Divrei Chaim said, this case that you're bringing to me is a tremendous difficulty, but if you promise to give tzedakah, I'll help you. And the Divrei Chaim helped him. The Divrei Chaim had a chassid Naaman who said, Rabbi, I don't understand. This Yid who came to you, you don't know him so well. He's not a real chassid of yours. And in a second you helped him, and here I am coming every year that I should be zeichet to have a child, and every year you push me off. So Divrei Chaim said, you should know that every time I go to battle to bring a Yeshua, to sakanas nefashos. However, in this case, to be mekadosh Shem Shemayim, it was worth it for me that this doctor should know and his family should know that there's a Bari Olam to do it. But for you, you already know there's a Bari Olam. So for me to be mesuk in myself, it's not necessarily worth it. So we see from here that the more nisim that there are, the greater Kiddush Hashem is, and the greater opening of our eyes to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that there is. We're going to learn one more piece, a very, very nice piece, from the Ben Ashri. He says like this. He says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe Rabbeinu, you can go back to Mitzrayim, Ki mesu kol ha'anoshim ha'mevakshim es nafshecha. Mihem, so the Gemara in the Dharam says, who are the people that are looking for you? Adasan Aviram. Sheyodu min echseim. They went, they lost their property. Yesh ledakte, the Ben Lashi says a beautiful shaila. The Taisis Yantif in Mishnais at the end of Masechtas Parah says a rule. Whenever the Torah uses the word kol, it always refers to three things. So therefore, says the Ben Ashri, based on that principle, Ki mesu kol hanoshim, you only told us two people, Dasan and Viram. Who's the third person? In addition, he asks another beautiful question. Who says that Dasan and Viram, the reason that they're considered mace is because they lost their money? Maybe they got tsaras. We know that there's four different types of people that are considered mason: an ani, someone who has no children, and someone who has tsaras. So who says that they lost their money? Maybe, as the Torah brings down, right? This question, maybe they had tsaras. Now the Torah says they couldn't have had tsaras because they were still in the camp, the Machne Yisrael. However, the Ben Ashri says that's not necessarily a proof, because maybe they were still in the camp, but they were hiding, and therefore they didn't want to see themselves. They didn't show themselves to people. Like we know in Makas Shchin, he brings a proof of Makas Shchin that the Khartoumim, they could not stand in front of Moshe Rabbeinu because they had blisters and bubbles. Not that they couldn't physically stand, they were too embarrassed to stand. So Memela, maybe they had tsaras. And just like Paro had tsaras and he was gone, so too Dasan Aviram had tsaras. So he says, beautiful, based on this proof that he wants to bring, that Paro had tsaras, and he didn't leave Mitzrayim, and Dasan Aviram had tzaras, who's the third person? Parai, because Parai had tzaras is considered mace. We know that Parai had tzaras. So beautiful when we say Kol Hanoshim refers to Dasan Aviram and Parai. The schus of the Ben Ashri, who had no children, he learned his Torah. They're good chidushim, beautiful ha'aros. He even has even more ha'aros that he brings down. Should be Melis Yosef for us, Befrat, on the day of his yard site, and it should be schus for his neshama. It should be Maila more and more. Amen. Ken Yatzan.